Hello, hello. I am going to give just a few minutes to let people log in. For those of you who will be viewing this via YouTube later, please feel free to log on to asylummedia.com. That's ASSILEM media, media.com to send me any questions, any comments on tonight's broadcast live stream. We are live streaming tonight via the Hang With app. I do give about a minute for people to come into the room. Um, so we'll take just a few more seconds here to wait for people to join, but not too long. And thank you to you who are watching right now. So it's been about a minute. It's 7 o'clock. It's time then for Monday Motivation. Hashtag Monday Motivation. I want to welcome those of you who are tuned in, who are watching via YouTube, wherever you're watching from. Thank you for watching. Today's word is commitment. And today we are going to touch on, I say three things. Hobbyist, and I'm referring to my notes here. We're going to talk about hobbyist. We're going to talk about transitioning. Those of you who are wanting to transition from work to being an entrepreneur to being an artist, full-time, to replace your current income. And the third thing is to how to find your first investor. So overall, today's word of the day is commitment. We're talking about hobbyist, transitioning, and how to find your first investor. So if this is your first time seeing me and you want to know who I am, my name is AvaBella, and I'm an indie artist. First and foremost, I am a musicpreneur, which means that I'm an entrepreneur surrounded with music. I full-time musician, full-time in public relations with my company, Asylum Media. Again, that's asylummedia.com. And I, of course, like a lot of singers, started singing in the church, and that went on for several years. I toured churches. I was in a gospel group by middle school. By the end of middle school, when I was getting ready to go to high school, I started singing Italian opera, vocal performance opera. Went on to study vocal performance opera, lasted for about a year and a half at Dillard University. Shout out to Dillard University in New Orleans, Louisiana. And from there, I returned to Kansas City, where I'm from, and I started singing. I had life happen, took breaks, and then after life happened and taking breaks, I started singing again. In 2011, I started touring, writing my album, which would become the Lady Gun EP, which was put out in 2012. And in 2013, after touring for a little over a year and a half, I went on and moved to Los Angeles from Kansas City. I was in Los Angeles for a while, and family and friends were asking me to blog, and they thought that I should blog because I would do really cool posts apparently on social media. So I started blogging, and from the blog, I kind of had a snowball effect into what is now asylummedia.com. The blog is still up and running, avabellasindyblog.com. You can get to it a couple of ways. You can go to my Instagram, Miss AvaBella, which is the same as my Hang With. If you're watching this from YouTube, you'll be able to get to it via a link in the description box. Miss AvaBella on Twitter, Asylum Media on Twitter, Asylum Media on Facebook, AvaBella Music on Facebook as well. So also, please feel free to email me questions through the web link, or here via Hang With. You can just comment by clicking on the comment bubbles down below. They're more like squares, but feel free to comment, and I will respond to you. I will respond probably in less than 24 hours. So I want to talk to you all today because I am never on my Monday motivation super long. I try to keep it under 10 minutes because we all have things to do. So I want to talk about first the word commitment. When I first made the decision in 2011 that I was going to be an indie artist, I had to switch gears. I had to make sacrifices. Some of those sacrifices I'm still making, and I had to make sacrifices to be consistent. In order to be consistent, I already had to have in my mind that I was committed to being an independent artist. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew that we were in a new day and age where no one is going to come up to you and, hear you singing and automatically signs you. That's not how it happens anymore. So I had that in mind already. And so I just got more and more over time consistent with the things that I was doing from the blog post. Initially, I never posted about myself on the blog. And in the beginning, I probably would never be on camera like I am with you right now, just because of insecurities. But that's a whole nother Monday motivation. But now I'm at a place where I know and I've begun to understand that being consistent, that means more than just sharing posts on social media. That means more than sharing posts via Hang With, more than these live streams, more than, sharing a link on Twitter every day. It means more than that, especially when you're an indie artist. But these same things that I'm telling you, because I am an entrepreneur as well, they'll work for an entrepreneur or an indie artist. It really doesn't matter. So I want to talk about the hobbyist. For a long time, I probably have for about a month, after being in the indie music game for a while, I used to have this picture on my profile all across social media, no hobbyists. And I just found that those people who have not transitioned yet, who are working a job, or they're just comfortable in where they are, and they, this is just something that they do when it comes time for the open mics, or they might sing at a family function, or they might rap, if somebody asks them, like, if they're not really doing it full time. So I used to have the hashtag no hobbyists all across my profiles, and I put that up because after a while I began to understand that if people hadn't made the commitment and hadn't committed to being consistent as far as being an artist and being an entrepreneur, then I really couldn't fool with them. And my mentor used to tell me a lot of times, you can't serve two masters, because for a while I was really, really trying in the early stages. I was really trying to work a job and sing. I would work during the day, I would do shows, and it just really got out of hand, because when it comes time to tour, when it comes time to do a private gig and their setup and their sound checks, you have to make a choice, and you can't serve two masters. People think that that's more of a religious thing, and honestly, it really is when you look at it. When you look at the person who is giving you the gift, then it is a religious thing, and you're making a commitment to honoring your gift and honoring the gift giver. Again, another Monday motivation. We'll come back to that. But I don't want to come down so hard on the hobbyists that they think that I just don't fool with people who work a job. There are people who work a job and are trying to transition to being an entrepreneur or an indie artist full time. If you're doing that, do what it takes. And when I'm saying do what it takes, that means that you have to take a check. You have to save, if you can, start small. Take $25 of your check. At minimum, you should have $25 if you're working a job. I pray that you do. You have at least $25, and put that with another $25 in 2 weeks or a week, or however your pay period works. And pretty soon, you're going to have enough money for a few hours of studio time. You're going to have enough money to buy production. And I'm talking about just taking it in small pieces. Um, if you're trying to purchase a logo for your branding, if you just take it piece by piece and every week you begin to do one thing at a time, you will transition from being a hobbyist to a committed artist or a committed entrepreneur. How to find your first investor. And I thank you to those who have tuned in. Hello. Um, we have so far talked about hobbyists, being a hobbyist, and transitioning. And our third piece is how to find your first investor. Okay, I want everybody to get a mirror, run to the bathroom, take their phone with them, go look in the bathroom mirror, because you are your first investor. Before anybody put any money into me, that kind of formula that I was telling you about transitioning, I was the first person to do that for myself. I was the first person to take a couple bits, maybe a couple of big bits, and put them with the little bits. And finally, I had my first investment, because before anyone was paying for me to go out of town to do shows, to open for Master Ace or DJ Marco Polo or GLC or Estelle or whoever else, I had to get myself there. And taking those little bits and putting them with the big bits and the other little bits was what I needed to get my CDs pressed up. So that when I was doing promotional shows, because 9 times out of 10, if you're an indie artist, your first shows are not going to be paid. Sorry to tell you, they're not going to be paid. I had a young man ask me just last night, because I DJ open mic every Friday. He asked me, do they be paying people to sing? No. Your first shows are not going to be paid. Who are you? Nobody knows you. So, I mean, these are things that I said to myself, and these are things that I still say to myself. My album, my EP came out in 2012. So a lot of you are probably like, well, who are you? Exactly. So you have to know that you're only as good as the last thing that you put out. And you have to know that you're going to have to be the first person to invest. When I began to compose this post for commitment and this Monday motivation, it was because there's a young lady that I'm really, really interested in working with from the PR standpoint, from my company, Asylum Media. She's awesome. She's a hip hop artist. And I've never heard an MC like her. I've heard a lot of MCs. I'm always at a hip hop open mic or a hip hop show. But this girl has talent. She has talent. She has a look. She has a nice cadence. But she has these Facebook posts that totally, like, she'll post on my page or a page that I manage, and maybe she doesn't know that I'm managing the page, but I can see the post and I can see her post right after she posts on the page. And it's this whole thing about humility. I know that people watch what you do. They watch what you write. They watch what you wear. They watch who you hang around, the company that you keep in this industry. And there's only 7 degrees of separation. I travel all the time. Sometimes people will see me on social media, and then maybe the next week I'll be at their open mic event because I'm looking for talent for a client or for a show that's gearing up. But just know that whether big or small, whatever level that people can be on, you never know who's going to be able to assist you. So you want to be humble, and you want to know that people are watching. And, it's great to be confident in your talent, but you have to be consistent. You have to be willing to invest in yourself. You have to be honest about making the transition, and whether you're a hobbyist or not. And in those things, transition, don't be a hobbyist, and be your first investor. That's my Monday motivation, you guys. If anybody has any questions, I'm probably going to stay on for about 20, maybe one more minute and 20 seconds. If you all want to send me a question about public relations services for yourself or an artist that you know of or an event that you have coming up, you can log on to asylummedia.com. If you're watching Hang With, you'll see the link just underneath me, or Asylum, ASSILEM media, just as it sounds.com. Be sure to check out my latest blog post on how to use Hang With to push your creative business. It's like 4 different ways, and I have another post that's coming up, how to use Hang With to grow your business. So be on the lookout for that on AvaBellasIndieBlog.com. If you want to send me an email directly, you can always go to my profile and send me an email from there. This is my first time doing a Monday Motivation at night. It's a little bit different. I'm here at Black Vine. Shout out to them for letting me share their space and use their space. What can I tell you? As a final note, if you know any artists who are looking to perform during South by Southwest down in Austin, Texas in March, if you don't know what that is, sxsw.com. Log on, check it out, then send me an email. Let me know where your music can be found. If you have an EPK, feel free to send that. But we are looking for a few more artists for the show in March. So far, I think we have 5 from New Orleans, from Kansas City, from DC, and I'm performing too. Yay. I think we also have a couple from LA or the Bay. And that might not have been all 5, but I'm sorry if I've forgotten anyone. Thank you all for the likes. If you will please take a moment to go over and follow. I'm getting in the upwards of 17 minutes. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Watch all of my archived Monday Motivations via the Hang With app, or log on to youtube.com, search AvaBella Music, and you will find all of my Hang Withs from last year and the year before at South by Southwest, and some of the live shows that I put on. I will see y'all next Monday at 7 o'clock. Y'all be there, be square. Thank y'all for watching.